Howdy, howdy, welcome to another wonderful Trash Take. Today I'm going to watch a Fox video about Pam Bondi. So, if y'all don't know who Pam Bondi is, she's Trump's Attorney General. I really want to watch her just because I'm curious to actually see something about her. All I've seen about her is shit posting on Twitter, basically demanding the Epstein files be released and then complaining that Cash didn't really release the files. And now Cash has said that he gave her the files, but the files still aren't out. So, at this point, I'm getting kind of pissed because I was expecting like the Epstein files within like a week of Trump getting into office, but I don't know if this is going to be just a broken promise or a game of blame someone else. But that's what it looks like for the time being. But I haven't actually seen much about Pam Bondi speak, and so I was actually kind of curious to see more about her and what her goal is. Because I know Trump did some big speech last night, I think at the Department of Justice. Because she's basically the head of the Department of Justice, right? She's the Attorney General. So she'll be the one that's tracking down all the people that they're doing the current terrorism of destroying Teslas, firebombing Teslas, shit like that. I know a lot of people don't agree that that's terrorism, but terrorism in the definition talks about property. It's falling under terrorism if it's motivated, if it's coercion or intimidation via violence, basically. That's how it could fall under terrorism. Terrorism is basically to strike terror into others, and I'd say all the people that are purposely targeting Teslas and Tesla drivers because they hate Elon Musk is causing terror. So, I mean, you disagree, whatever. If they can't actually prove any of this in court and no one goes to jail for terrorism, you're right, I'm wrong. I don't really care. Whether or not they're terrorists, I just want people to stop the political violence. But, without further ado, let's actually see what this interview is about. It's Fox, so fair warning here, there's probably going to be some glazing.
Welcome back. President Trump will be making an historic visit today to the Department of Justice for a speech laying out his vision for restoring law and order and ending the weaponization. Don't forget, guys. It's the Department of Justice that targeted Donald Trump heavily. So everyone that was there is probably already fired, and you're having new people come in immediately. The Department of Justice and our law enforcement.
I really need to finish watching that speech. I saw part of it. It was fucking hilarious. Trump.
We have a great Justice Department.
Listen, if you want to watch a Trump speech, the best way to watch a Trump speech is to watch Asmongold watch a Trump speech, because he'll literally pull like a bingo card up, or he'll be making fun of Trump the entire time, and it's rightfully so, because when Trump speaks, he rambles. You don't know if he's on script, if he's off script, if the teleprompter's dead, if he's freeballing. You don't know what the fuck that man's gonna say next. It's fucking hilarious. So, you ever want to watch a Trump speech? I suggest watching it with Asmongold.
Pam Bondi is so fantastic. We don't want to have crime in the streets. We don't want to have
he's talking about cleaning up DC
and killed, and then the person that did the pushing ends up in a 15-year trial and gets off scot-free. We want to have justice.
Yeah, I think some homeless man pushed a person in front of a train in New York.
We want to have safety in our cities as well as our
an illegal immigrant also lit a lady on fire on a train. That shit was fucking crazy.
The complete gamut.
And joining me right now is the woman tasked with the job, the nation's U.S. Attorney General, Pam Bondi. AG, great to have you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Maria. It's great to be with you.
And, of course, you sat and testified under oath to the Senate Judiciary Committee, the same thing, that you would only follow the facts.
Where's the Epstein list, lady?
Tell us how you will de-weaponize the DOJ.
De-weaponize the DOJ.
Well,
Don't you want the DOJ weaponized so they're taking out bad guys?
We're going to continue to do that. President Trump's mission was very clear.
Targeting.
His directive was make America safe again. That's what we're going to do.
No, it's make America great again. That's minus points.
We're going to go back to fighting basic crime, getting these cartels out of our country by securing our borders, prosecuting the worst of the worst, seizing the drugs, which is what President Trump has directed us to do since the second he's been in office, and lock up the violent criminals as long as we can behind bars, or seek the death penalty. And that's what we've been doing. You know, we've signed death warrants. We've signed death warrants. Holy shit. Since he's been in office. It's not business as usual. We are going back to the basics, fighting violence.
For reference, they recently reclassified the cartels as being a terrorist organization, which basically gives them a lot more power to fight against the cartels, I believe. If once it's recognized as a terrorist organization, basically death penalty, I think, is easily sought, opposed to just a criminal that's doing criminal mischief. You're working for an organization of criminals, basically.
Crime, and taking these drugs off the street is the main component of keeping
I think I saw Congress was passing a whole fentanyl
act, thank you for that, because people have been afraid to walk the streets, basically, because there's no accountability. You have to go to the drugstore and find your toothpaste locked up. Tell me how you're going to do it and what you can tell us about the president's speech today at the DOJ.
That was mainly places in like California, though, where they decriminalize petty crimes, like under $600. They just wouldn't really charge you. or if they did grab you, they would like catch and release, basically like they're fucking fishing. They would like detain you, they'd write a ticket, and then you were free to go. So you could just keep stealing, and your ticket, if you're able to sell all your goods, you get caught once every 5 times and keep it under $600, you could keep stealing shit. Like there's nothing to really stop you, and then you can resell it on Amazon or sell it on the street. That's what New York was having, a bunch of like pop-up bodegas of people just selling shit they stole from stores nearby on the street at a cheaper price. Like, look at the stuff on Amazon. Look at those sellers. If you're buying like detergent, toothpaste, random shit like that, it's a little cheaper than you see in the store. It was probably stolen. That's not a cheaper deal because it's direct, because someone is reselling it. Stolen.
He's never been to the Department of Justice.
That's amazing.
And it's right, and I can't wait
president's
for
never
him
been?
to be there
Really?
to show that he is going to make America safe, that he has been making America safe.
He's going there to
Since
find
he's
out
been
who the
in
fuck's
office,
trying to throw him in jail.
2,000 kilos of fentanyl have been taken off the streets.
Damn.
It's crazy what he's done. 18,000 kilos of methamphetamine.
Since
These are the
he took
things
over?
that are killing our kids from coast to coast, whether it's St. Louis to 170,000 pills of
When did
fentanyl
those-
in Utah.
when's that
That's
date
one
start?
life per pill. And he has been fighting drugs, fighting the cartel.
Drug seize? What does FYTD fucking mean? Well, I mean, these are under Biden. I'd say all these under Biden. Maybe this is under Trump, but okay, for a good. Okay, if these are all the total year under Biden, and we're in Trump, and we're 3 months in, well, like 2 months in technically, he didn't get off till like end of January, right? That's we're on ratio to get over 1 million pounds of drugs, which is like double previous years. Yeah.
And we
I don't know. Every time we fight the war on drugs, we lose the war on drugs.
Weaponization has ended. They are trying to weaponize against Elon Musk, and we are not going to let that happen either.
Less drugs coming
that's
across the
right,
border
and
is
we
good.
saw all the vandalism to the Tesla cars this week.
Marijuana.
President Trump will
Fentanyl.
reportedly invoke the alien.
The reason fentanyl is so deadly, it takes like micrograms of this shit to kill you. It takes micrograms. That's the reason fentanyl is deadly. The fact that this is in pounds could probably kill close to fucking 10 million people, maybe even more than that. I'm not doing the math here. But this is deadly as shit. This stuff kills you.
Enemies Act of 1798, which allows him to fast-track deportations of criminals that are...
Yeah, he put some fucking... The Illegal Aliens Act of 1798? Let's see what that is. Hold on. I remember seeing that. I was like, holy shit, motherfucker pulled out the history book. George Washington himself wrote this act. Authorized the president to arbitrarily deport any non-citizen that was deemed to be dangerous to the peace and safety of the United States. Oh shit, is that what they're doing to deport that guy in New York? I thought they proved that he had terrorist ties. There's a guy in New York that's getting deported because he was part of the Columbia Law protest, and one of his previous on-campus events, he had an actual terrorist, like a terrorist that later got grabbed by the United States, I believe. He had a terrorist come on campus and speak at the event. So people were trying to say the green card holders aren't allowed to support terrorism, and inadvertently, by him having a terrorist come to one of his protests or one of his rallies, he was supporting terrorism. So that's the current pull to get him thrown out of the United States for his green card. Whether or not that holds up in court, we'll find out. I don't care. If you're probably supporting terrorism on a green card, not a good idea. If you're supporting terrorism in general, not a good idea. Believe it or not, you live in the Western society that the terrorists probably want to blow up. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think they'll if they do terrorist attack, like, hey, we're gonna hijack this plane. You look like you don't support Western society. Get off this plane. It's not gonna be like that. They're gonna fucking take the plane and kill everyone on it, no questions asked.
Illegal migrants. ICE also arrested more than 32,000 illegal migrants in the first 50 days of the president's second term, including those 14,000 convicted of crimes.
January 20th
I want to get your take on how you're going to do this, because you're facing pushback, right? The sanctuary cities are saying, no. We are sanctuary. We're going to continue sanctuary. So where is the accountability for some of these sanctuary cities that are working against you?
I know they talked about...
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt her. I know I do this a lot. I know they were actually talking about like charging AOC and charging a bunch of Democrats because they were passing out flyers and trying to spread information to help illegal aliens avoid the police. And then they were trying to argue that in itself is illegal to help illegal aliens avoid the police. Like some weird way, basically, oh, you wrote a book and the illegal aliens read it and now they were able to successfully not go to jail for it or not get deported for it, so now you're getting charged. I don't think that shit will ever fly in court, but me seeing that was just kind of fucking hilarious.
Seeing what's happening, we're suing them, we're suing the states. They will no longer be sanctuary cities. We will come in there, we will arrest you, we will prosecute you.
That's going to have to take the Supreme Court to weigh in.
If you've committed a crime, you will go to prison in our country for as long as possible.
So the way the government works, and I know this is from my civics class like fucking 10 years ago, the way the government works is there's really two parts of the government, state and federal. State controls most of the state functions, which is for the most part criminals unless they go across borders, and it's like a federal crime. And so the issue is, if you came across the border illegally, I believe it would fall under the federal government's job to get that person out of there, not really the state's job. So they're supposed to kind of work together, and the federal government helps get them out because they weren't here legally and they crossed into the United States, because the federal government has final say over all the borders. What's happening is the states are basically saying, no, you don't. This is our state. We're not going to let this happen. I don't think they have the authority to do that, but it's got to be like a Supreme Court or judge to rule it, not a random YouTuber.
If you're an illegal alien, we will deport you. It's that simple. That's what's been happening. Our federal government is working great now. You know, these liberal mayors, governors, we're not going to put up with it. I've warned them. If they're not listening, they will continue. We will continue to sue them. We will continue to pull their federal funding until they comply with federal law. Because our job is to make America safe again. And I don't know.
I saw an interesting statistic that someone posted that California had wasted $8 billion on illegal immigrant services, but they were also asking Trump for a $2 billion grant to help with the wildfires that just basically decimated a ton of California. So people were trying to say, like, they still are supporting illegal aliens, so they don't know if Trump's actually going to sign this bill. Because the whole point of this is, like, we're going to stop all federal funding until you let us take the illegal aliens out of your states. Which, I think Trump might have let that one go through, because it's kind of like, well, I know I said I wasn't going to, but these are American citizens whose homes burned down, so it's kind of like, yeah, if you don't allow funding here, you're going to look like a dickhead. But at the same time, I don't know. It was one of those things I saw it, and I don't genuinely know. I didn't follow up on it. I just thought, it's a conundrum. Let's see how this plays out. Because if Trump doesn't, and he cites this as, hey, you have illegal aliens, he's going to get fucking slaughtered in the news. His approval's not that bad right now. You can look it up yourself. You don't believe me? It's not that bad at the moment, but it could be much worse.
How, Maria?
The economy's been kind of doing.
Well, I mean,
stock market's been doing shit. The economy's kind of like iffy.
You know, there will be accountability, and I think everyone has to agree that you want accountability for people who are, trafficking drugs and humans. So that's great. But
yeah,
we also
I don't think any person would say let's traffic human beings or drugs into the country
against the Republicans over the last 10 years.
That's right.
I lived it. The Russia collusion story. Will anyone be held
that shit was hilarious.
For the Russia collusion lie that the Clinton campaign and the Democrats came up with against President Trump that ripped our country apart?
Nope.
Maria, when we say we're ending the weaponization, we're ending it. People will be held accountable who weaponized our government. You know, there were a lot.
There's nothing illegal about lying, unfortunately. I don't know how the fuck you're going to bring charges up on someone who just lied to say Trump was a Russian asset. Now, you can revoke the clearances of the individuals that signed the documentation on that, sure. But to bring charges up, lying's allowed. It's free speech. Believe it or not, it's free speech.
A lot of pardons out there, but there were a lot of people who were not pardoned. And if you
would have to show that they
if you went after someone because of their political affiliation, we will be investigating you. We will be
looking at you. You have to really prove it was targeted.
That's the weaponization, and it has to stop. For instance,
the reason it really isn't illegal is because the difference between fraud and malfeasance is not that far away. Or incompetent. The difference between incompetence and malfeasance is kind of hard to prove. If someone's stupid and they fuck their job up, it's not illegal. But if they're purposely doing it and fucking their job up, that would be kind of I would assume that would get you in a lot more trouble. But you can't really prove that unless you physically hear or say them do it. So if you're just really smart about it and you never say that, I'm doing this purposefully, good luck proving in the court of law. You'll probably go in front of a trial of your peers from jurors, which are very Democrat. If you're in Washington, if they voted like 85% Kamala, and they're definitely not going to try you. They're going to see it's, go Trump. Yeah, fuck that.
Look what they're continuing to do, as I said, to Elon Musk. They are targeting Tesla dealerships, the stations where you charge a Tesla.
Yep.
They're vandalizing cars. I have already directed an investigation be opened to see how is this being funded, who is behind this, doing this.
It's George Soros.
We're locking up on that.
That was a Tesla dealership that got firebombed. I believe 4 Cybertrucks got burned here, and then I think if this is the same one in Seattle, which is that's what it says up there, I think the guy caught himself on fire with the last firebomb. If this is the one I remember, there's a funny-ass video of someone firebombing some Teslas, and they drop one, and it catches them on fire. But I haven't heard of him being arrested yet, so I don't know if he died, or if they just found a random burn victim and haven't connected the dots yet.
We have someone in jail right now from one of the dealerships. They threw a Molotov cocktail through a dealership. They're looking at up to 20 years in prison.
Yeah.
So if you're going to
Those are bullet holes.
touch a Tesla, go to a dealership, do anything, you better watch out because we're coming out.
We care about the environment so much that now we're targeting the man who did EVs to protect the environment because we care about the environment. This is just a virtue signal. Teslas I always thought were the ultimate virtue signal, and now that they're destroying Teslas, it's even more of a virtue signal. It used to be a virtue signal that I cared about the environment, so I bought a Tesla. Now it's I hate Elon Musk, so I'm burning down Teslas. It's just virtue signaling, I'll be honest. If you hate Teslas, if you're going to hate something, I always have to think you have an articulate reason. And I've said this before in plenty of videos. Teslas are pretty niche. I mean, it's kind of like a Gucci car in my playbook. FSD doesn't allow you to drive home drunk. I want to be able to drive home drunk if I'm going to have a car that drives itself. Otherwise, I don't see a point to it. The cars are fucking heavy as shit, and their battery packs, once those are dead, they're basically worthless. That's the most expensive part on these Teslas. So, oh, and the chargers. I guess the chargers have kind of popped up a little bit more. So, with all that considered, I've never really thought about buying a Tesla. It would be a cool car to have. Don't get me wrong. It's just I'd rather get a hybrid. That seems like a much better play, especially if you have one that has regenerative braking. That seems like a much better play than having to charge your car at some random place, especially if it's still gas powered, because you don't have to worry as much about having to constantly charge it if you need to go on a long road trip. But you also have to deal with now all these fucking cars have so many different electronic parts. One thing goes wrong in your car's fucking bricked. Jesus Christ, man. Imagine if I had a light come on in my Honda Civic and it said replace the flux capacitor. I'd probably just fucking shit myself.
After you.
Shit,
and
not shoot.
if you're funding this, we're coming after you. We're going to find out who you are.
So, in terms of the Russia collusion story,
listen, if you don't like Tesla and you don't like Elon Musk, feel free to protest outside of any Tesla dealership in America. No one's ever going to stop you. It is your right, as long as you're not impeding traffic, you're standing on the sidewalk, you're holding your signs, doing your speeches, you're not hitting people. Okay. You start burning down Teslas, you start shooting at Teslas, you start shooting at the dealerships, that shit's crazy. You're going to get charged with fucking terrorism. At this point, any attack on a Tesla is going to be considered politically motivated. It's only a matter of time till someone crashes into a Tesla and they get charged with terrorism. I'm calling now. It's going to happen. They're going to try to prove it.
Is there any work on that? Are you going to try to find out who, in fact, pushed this lie that Trump colluded back in 2017?
Maria, we have teams of...
They know who pushed it. It was Hillary Clinton. It was the Steele dossier. That was Hillary Clinton. She paid a campaign fine for that. Steele dossier, known as the Trump-Russia dossier, controversial political opposition research in 2016, compiled by counterintelligence specialists, was given to the Mueller report. Where is it? Don't you tell me they've scrubbed Hillary Clinton off this shit. Yeah. That Vladimir Putin favored Trump over it. It was based on information from initially anonymous sources for counterintelligence specialists as a primary subsource of some random Russian dude. The Steele, former the head of the Russian desk for the British intelligence agency MI6, was writing a report for private investigation for Fusion GPS that was paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee. Hillary Clinton paid for this research and this bullshit to come across. They went off an anonymous source, paid for it to basically touch everyone's hands to try and verify it. None of them verified it, but they still went with it anyways. It was fucking crazy. And then her campaign fund actually had to... she actually had to pay a fine for this because it was illegal use of campaign funds, basically, too. Which is the same thing that they tried to turn Trump's paying off Stormy Daniels, that prostitute. That's the same thing. It's illegal use of campaign funds, except they turned it into a bunch of felonies for him, and that they kept that as a misdemeanor for her. That's why I look at this and I'm just like, dude, this is politically targeted violence. This is politically targeted, using the Department of Justice to target people. And I don't understand. I get that you don't like Trump, but if you start using the Department of Justice to target your political opponents, you're setting precedents for other people to go to jail for the same shit. So it'll be used against you in the future, is what I'm getting at.
lawyers working non-stop.
If it's a misdemeanor, keep it a misdemeanor. If you elevate it to a felony because you don't like Trump and want to call him a felon, you're going to look really fucking stupid to everyone that's got an IQ above 80.
On every issue you can imagine to end the weaponization. And what you're saying, that will put an end to the weaponization, all the lies, everything that's happened. It's over. It's a new day. We also want to move forward and fight violent crime.
Of course, and you also.
I feel like that's the most important part of the Department of Justice is taking violent criminals off the fucking street.
On the cost-cutting measures, what can you tell us? Because they're going to dig into the nation's top law enforcement divisions, reviewing their internal budget reviews.
Honestly, these fuckers need to go with Doge. Right? They need to fucking walk with Doge and find any of these people in the government that are like purposely sending billions off to other countries.
Truly, we know. I don't think any of us, Elon, couldn't even dream how big the massive amounts of money were that's been taken from your tax dollars, from my tax dollars.
Oh, they are. Forms team with Doge. How did I miss that? What the fuck?
Countries all over the world, the USA, the EPA, and they're fighting us on that. They're trying to force us to pay this money out. We're not going to do it.
Okay, so the Supreme Court recently ruled that Donald Trump has to keep some contracts that USAID had already agreed to, and I'll be quite honest, I disagree with the Supreme Court's ruling here, simply because if a president or some retard at the USAID decides to sign a contract for $10 quintillion for a bajillion years, technically the Supreme Court ruling would say, yeah, if that contract got signed, it's good to go till the end of time. And that's the only reason I'm like, man, this is a pretty bad fucking precedent to set. Yeah, if we've already agreed to some contracts to pay out on them, I can understand that. But at the same time, there needs to be stipulations in these contracts to where the government can break the contract. And I think there are for some of them. We just pay a fee or we pay part of it, which is why the Doge website's kind of interesting because you can see that detail. It's broken down on there. And a lot of people hate the Doge website because there's no transparency. But my God, this is the most transparency we've ever gotten out of a federal fucking agency in the entire U.S. history.
We have teams of lawyers fighting to protect our tax dollars, and we're going to continue to do that. Of course, we're going to lose in these liberal district courts, but we will win in the Supreme Court. We will.
Yeah, you already lost once in the Supreme Court, though. That's not true.
The budget. These agencies will control where their money goes. It was a setup from the beginning by all of these liberal agencies that when we came in here,
I don't get the FEMA paying for the hotels in New York. Why the fuck is that necessary?
Now they've been exposed, and we will find all of them and all of our great agencies who work so well together will protect Americans and Americans' tax dollars.
Okay, yeah. I was like, I don't see how this is protecting Americans. This is just saving people money, technically. Now, if you're finding out that it's the USAID money was going to like NGOs that are currently paying people to fly out to these Tesla dealerships and encouraging others to firebomb it, then yeah, you could say that it's indirectly being used for terrorism at home. But like, that's like some next level schizo shit. Like, you'd have to have some crazy amount of information on an individual to even come to that conclusion, which maybe they will. They're the FBI. Once they're basically arrested for this shit, they're going to have full rights to all of your internet, all of your history, all of your devices, your discords, all that shit. Probably going to be subpoenaed, probably going to be brought up, probably going to be investigated. So they might be able to make connections eventually, but I honestly don't think in the 4 years they have, they're going to have enough time. They'd have to be moving at they're going to have to move at breakneck speed with some of these for some of these judge-signed warrants, because I don't see how the fuck they're going to be able to do this in 4 years. Like, it takes a while for the government to move because of how large it is. Maybe if you have the departments working a little a little closer hand in hand, it'll speed things up, but it's a bureaucracy. There's piles and piles of paperwork and procedures that have to be followed where basically nothing's going to fucking happen.
And you also want the public to trust the FBI. I mean, this is our leading law enforcement agency. We need everybody to trust the FBI. And I'd like to see some accountability. Can you take us from a 30,000 feet look at what happened here? How did it become so political, AJ? Maria, that in my wildest dreams, I never realized how bad it was. Yeah. But now that we have Kash Patel in there, and I'll tell you, in the Justice Department directly, it was totally weaponized. All the Jack Smith prosecutors are gone. All these agents at the FBI who are weaponizing government are gone. And that's where we're able to find the good men and women who want to be out.
Don't forget, the FBI was also sending requests to remove people's posts on Twitter before Elon Musk took over Twitter. It's been heavily weaponized for a while now. Whether or not she's removed all the ones or she's removed the ones she doesn't like is yet to be seen.
Out there who want to be fighting violent crime.
There are people both sides of the Twitter thing. Yes, it was like a 99 to 1%, but there's still 1% of Republicans that were still requesting for people to be removed.
Last week, Director Radcliffe, Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, and I, we got to be at Dulles Airport in the middle of the night and greet a plane coming in from Pakistan with one of the worst terrorists in the world
they captured,
on the plane. And we got to thank the great men and women of the FBI. And that's what people don't see. The ones who are out there, they had spent a week in Pakistan getting this guy out of there.
That's kind of crazy.
These people are second to none. Those are the real agents. And
when's the last time we've caught a terrorist?
Restore their integrity, restore the integrity of the Department of Justice, and show all the great things that at the direction of Donald Trump we're going to do for the next 4 years to keep America safe and make America safe again.
AJ, on the sanctuary cities thing, I know you've got all of these lawsuits out for people who are obstructing justice, obstructing your efforts. Are you saying that by the end of this 4 years there will be no more sanctuary cities?
No.
No way. Okay. No way. No more sanctuary cities.
No,
I wouldn't even say 4 years. I'd say give it to the end of the year.
No.
Sanctuary cities are over. There are no more sanctuary cities as far as the federal government.
I don't see that coming. I'm sorry.
What a sanctuary city means is they are harboring criminals. They are harboring illegal aliens.
Yes.
And if you're tipping someone off when there is going to be an ICE raid, DHS raid, we will find you and we will prosecute you. That jeopardizes the lives of our great men and women in law enforcement. Not going to happen anymore. It's a new day, and we're coming after you.
So they had some leakers inside the Department of Homeland Security that was tipping off when ICE was coming to raid in some of these sanctuary cities or even like places all around, which makes it dangerous for the operatives if they are actually going after a terrorist, a cartel cell, basically a cartel or operation, and the cartels decide to place 20 pounds of C4 and blow everyone up there. That's going to be fucking tragic. Like, you are asking for a lot more trouble than there needs to be. But I don't think that they're going to be successful in destroying sanctuary cities or removing sanctuary cities. It takes the people in the state itself to remove the politicians in power that put these policies in place. They will fight tooth and nail, and they will drag it out in court for years, and it's not going to happen. I do not see this happening. They will do everything they can to use the bureaucracy to try to wait Trump out, to try to wait out the attorney general. I don't see this happening, I'm quite honest. If it does, I'll eat my words here. I genuinely don't see this happening, though.
That is incredible, AJ. All right, let me get your take on something else, which a lot of people were emailing me about and talking to me about when they heard that you were coming on the show. The MAGA group is mad that they don't know more about the Epstein files.
Yes.
The MAGA group is mad that they don't know more about the January 6th investigation. Are you going to give us any more information on these two issues?
Sure. And first to the Epstein, I'm mad that I didn't have more information on Epstein. I was given 200 pages of documents. I've asked Director Patel. He came in after that, of course. I had asked for those documents prior to Cash coming in. Cash is going to get me all the information. I've asked him to find out why I didn't receive all those documents.
It's because they didn't like you, because you had people that are inside the government being activists not doing their job. That's why you didn't get it.
We've received 100% of documents of evidence, and Cash is going to give me a deadline on when he can go through that to protect, of course, the victims of sex trafficking who are wrapped in.
The victims have already all been leaked online, by the way.
A deadline on when he can get this, and we will get out as much as we can, as fast as we can, to the American people, because
that 200-page binder they gave to a bunch of random conservative influencers that had actually censored information that people had already posted online, mainly the victims and their phone numbers. That was already all online, but it was censored in the binders. People were making fun of them for it. But if y'all haven't seen, too, I'm talking about conservatives, there's been a massive amount of conservatives being swatted, like random conservatives around the border being swatted right now. An InfoWars guy got murdered in Austin. That was the start of it. And then one InfoWars guy has been swatted like 2 times. Then Cat Turd's been swatted a bunch of times. Like, conservatives I've never even heard of on Twitter are saying, yeah, I just got fucking swatted. So there's like some active, like, crazy terrorism happening against conservatives right now. Politics is hitting a peak in America is what I'm getting at, boys. It's at a fucking peak right now.
They deserve to know. Same with January 6th. We're all working on JFK right now. We will be working on Martin Luther King. All of these things that the president promised, we will be doing.
Yeah, there's no reason they haven't released those already.
But they can't.
It's like the Epstein Client list. That shit should have came out immediately.
And we will release them to the American people because it's transparency.
So she dodged the question on the, or she answered the question, but then brought to and dodged
during COVID and January 6th. I mean, on January 6th, there was speculation that they destroyed documents. Did they destroy documents? The January 6th commission?
Yeah, there's a theory that I don't know how true it is, but they're saying that the video footage, some of the video footage that showed people were being let in by cops, that is actually on Twitter, was destroyed in the court of law. So I don't know if it's like they can't be officially information put back in or what. And like I said, this is like a Twitter conspiracy theory, because there are videos of Twitter of like cops high-fiving and fist-bumping people walking in on January 6th. But those people that like were let in still went to jail. So
we are looking into all of that. Nothing is off the table.
Yeah, that's why people were calling for Liz Cheney and a bunch of the January 6th people to be thrown in jail, because they felt like they were not giving these people a fair trial, which is why Trump pardoned all of them. But funny enough, it's why Biden also gave Liz Cheney a pardon on the way out. Look at everyone Biden pardoned right before he left. Like, Biden was exactly what everyone said he was, a crook all the way through. He pardoned his entire family, he pardoned a bunch of people, and he hit the fucking door.
All of the thousands of people working with social media to try to censor Americans' information during the COVID era?
Yeah. Everything's being looked at. Everything is on the table. Maria, again, it was the ultimate.
Do your job is all I want,
what
lady.
they did, things that were hidden from the American people. But it's a new day. Donald Trump is the most transparent president in our nation's
You can see
history.
through him.
We are all acting.
He's not
in his
orange. He's
directive,
opaque.
And America will be transparent again as well.
Well, we love it. AG will be.
All right, that was decent. They need to release the Epstein Client list ASAP. They need to release the JFK, the MLK. There's a bunch of shit that should have been like easy. Let's fucking do it. We're in office. We can do this right now. No one can stop us. We have the power. And they haven't fucking done it, so that my faith in them is waving very quickly. It was like when Trump got on the first time. He promised all this shit, and like nothing ended up happening. But there's a little bit more going this time, though, because he's got some power people in play, but it's still having issues overall, I'd say. I don't know. I'll be curious to see if anything comes of this. Seriously, them saying they're going to get rid of sanctuary cities by the end of the year, they're going to be held up in court with so much red tape, they ain't going to be able to do shit. I'm sorry. There's no way. There's so much states' rights that they have to basically try to show or get the Supreme Court to rule on, that unless the Supreme Court wants to be overtime working for the rest of the year, it's not going to happen. They're going to have so many different judges be throwing up red flags, and so many different times the Supreme Court's going to need to step in, that it will not happen. Not happening. Do I think it should happen? I think a lot of people think it should. I think you probably, if you have a bunch of criminals isolated in one spot, that you're asking for the citizens that are there to probably lower their quality of life standard for these criminals, which I don't think you should have to do. But if you want to live in a state that does that, it's your right. Just like if you want to live in a state that doesn't, move to a different state. That's the freedom of the 50 states. You don't like the state you live in, you can move to another state. You might not want to, but you have the freedom to. So if a state doesn't fit your quality of life or doesn't have the same values or standards you have, you can go to another state. That's possible. She might just need more time. They should have been able to drop the JFK, the MLK, and a bunch of other shit like right off the rip. I don't really see why that's taking forever here. That's kind of weird. Everything else here, give her like another month or two, see if anything good actually comes of it. Right now they're charging people with terrorism, but they're not really catching that many people. People want to know, are these groups being paid for to be bussed around, or if these are just random individuals? And like, you can go on fucking Reddit, and they're talking about where to meet up, where some of these Teslas are going down. There's a lady that was advertising. She made a website to track where they're going to go protest at. So it's only a matter of time till either she inadvertently has some bad eggs come in and her website gets taken down for promoting terrorism, or she herself goes to jail for terrorism. Not Bondi, but the lady on Twitter that was talking about her website to peacefully protest Teslas. So I don't know, man. If you're going to protest, do it peacefully, do it smart. If the crowd gets crazy, get the fuck out, or you're probably going to get into a January 6th situation where you're probably going to jail for a while, even if you don't do anything. So, yeah, as long as you're peacefully protesting, though, that's your right. I don't know. It's the end of this video. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. If you like the video, feel free to like it, comment down below, subscribe to my channel. I think this Attorney General seems hopeful. Kind of upset at her already, though, so give her a little bit more time. Give her a little bit more time. Get her used to the office. She's blaming Kash Patel for some stuff, but there's some other stuff I think she could already do. Put some of these people in jail. Might boost morale across the board. Who knows? Who knows? See you guys in the next video, though. Until then, later.